I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever you are up to. Today I thought I would share some knowledge that I have picked up from along my travels and my Disney journey through life. As you may or may not know from some of my other videos, I did the Walt Disney World Cultural Exchange Program way back in 2014, and as you may know if you're interested in doing it yourself, it is mega super competitive to get on. It is not a walk in the park, no matter how much of a Disney fan you think you are. Trust me, I thought I was going to get on the program in 2013. I was the biggest Disney nerd ever. I've been to the parks, I think 6 times by then. I think that I've already been 6 times. I thought no one knows or admires this company as much as I do. I've got to get the job. You know, I had experience in like, I'd worked in Boots for many a year. I'd worked in Asda, loads of customer service experience. So I was just like, I should get this job, you know, as long as I do my best, I should get this job. There's obviously, well, when I did it, there was about 220 places available, so there was a good shot of getting it. But reality check, I did not go on the program in 2013. I got rejected after the first interview. So I genuinely feel like I am very qualified to give you interview tips advice, because I know what happens when it goes wrong. I have been there, I have been rejected, and I picked myself up, and the next year I took what I had learned, I used these very tips, and I got hired. And the rest is beautiful history. Okay, so it was the group interview. There were literally about 12 of us in one interview, which is the definition of stressful. It is tough to be able to get your voice out in that many people who are all desperate for the same job. It's really cutthroat. You have to push yourself out there and go and get that job. I did not do that. I found it really hard to get my voice out there. Other people were like jumping onto each other's sentences before they even finished, and I'm quite a, I guess I'm kind of a shyish, reserved sort of person in day-to-day life. So I was waiting for other people to finish their points, and then I'd be like, oh, so this is what I think. But no, that was not going to be enough. It had to be on it straight away. I'm gonna give these back to the pig now. God, I need to retrain my head for ears. Pig. He suits them better anyway. Yeah, that is not enough. People were like cutting onto people's sentences before they'd finished. So I would say my tip for getting past that is to sort of really strongly listen to what people are saying while you're thinking of your own responses, because then you can sort of tell from the tone of voice when someone's sort of starting to wrap up a point, and then be ready to like, boom, here's what I think. While you're also listening to them to make sure you're not going to repeat anything they said, while you're also thinking of what you want to say. So yeah, good luck with that. It's tough. Just try and, when you're in conversations with your friends more, like think about what they do to signal that they've finished a story or something like that. And then you can sort of pick up a bit more of like when you can jump on. But my number one tip for this is, which is something that I employed when I was hired the following year, is answer first. As soon as they set out that question, boom, be in there with an answer, because not only does this mean you've got that guaranteed space to answer for every question, but it also means that no one is going to have said what you're thinking already. You get to go fresh in there, slam out the best points, get it all done, and then you can just sit back for the rest of the question and sort of be like, nod, like look as if you're interested in what other people are saying, because you are interested, because that is very important. But it just takes the pressure off, and then you can like build back up, ready for the next question, and boom, get in there again. So that is one of the main ways that I got hired the second time. I mean, maybe don't do it like every single time, because people will start getting a bit like, what's she doing? But yeah, most of the time that was a definite help for me. Let's go right back to the start, to your online application, which is a part that I found the easiest, quite honestly, because I write for a living, sort of, so I'm fairly good with words. and it didn't really faze me too much. I think it's important to stress a couple of things in your application. The first is that you are doing a cultural exchange program. You are not there to see Mickey. You are not there necessarily to work on your sort of skills and experience. You are there to exchange your culture with other people. So you really have to show that, first of all, you know what your culture is. You know, you have things that you want to share with Americans, like people from all over the world that you'll be meeting in Disney, not just as other cast members, but also with the guests as well. So you need to say, like, what is it about your hometown that is so interesting, and what is it about your culture, you know, your favorite foods, you know, the way that you like to spend your weekends, that is interesting, that you want to share with other people, because you are bringing your culture to share it. But then on the other flip side of that, you need to show that you really do love getting to know people, and you really want to find out about people from all over the world. I mean, you really do get to meet people from literally every country in the world. You know, I'm still friends with like quite a few people from different countries, which is really, really cool. So make sure that you emphasize that above all else. Of course, the second thing that you need to emphasize is your experience in whatever sort of role that you're looking for. So you'll probably know from your own experience what sort of role you'd be most suited to. If you've got food and beverage experience, you've worked in a restaurant, and it's pretty clear where you're going to be. If you've worked in a shop for years and years, you might expect to go into merchandising. Attractions, you know, most people can do that. Just sort of show that you've got general knowledge and you've got that guest interaction as well as that attention to detail. So you can sort of think, where would they like to put me, like where do my skills lie, and how would they tie into other things, and then you can target your application to that a bit more. So for example, when I got rejected from Disney the first time, I was like, I am not just gonna sit back and not do anything with this summer that I have been gifted from the university gods. And I applied for Camp America, and I worked there as a photographer for the summer of 2013, which was great because it gave me so much to talk about in my 2014 application. So I was talking about how all the interactions I'd had with kids at the summer camp, all the skills that I'd learned, that experience of sharing my culture and all that sort of stuff. Side note, Camp America is a good thing to do if you don't get through. Like, it was really fun. So it's not the end of the world if you don't get through. Try and try again. Disney loves a trier, and I am that. Where was I? So really focus on your best attributes and where they would most like to put you. I mean, you can have had experience from all sorts of things that you may not think is particularly relevant. I mean, anything from being a guide leader to helping out with, you know, your brothers and sisters, and just general, like, showing that you're a good sort of community focused person is really useful. Right, so when you actually get to the first in-person interview, these are the group interviews, and personally the stage that I found the hardest. Cabana Bay mug. This is the only mug that I ever drink out of nowadays. This is where you will sort of find your feet a little bit and figure out what it's all about. So they start you off with like the most amazing presentation ever, and you'll just be like, oh my god, I want to go so bad. I don't know why they do that, because it's like even more pressure. But during that interview they will ask questions about the Walt Disney Company, and people will put their hands up to try and get one right, and then they will get a little prize. So if you can brush up on your knowledge a little bit, answer one of those questions correctly, then all the people that will be interviewing you later will be there. So they could recognize you, you could stick out in their brain a bit more and be more at the front of their brain as like, this girl knows her stuff, you know, she's got it going on. So that is a good tip. While you're waiting for your interview time to come around, don't just sit there on your own. Like, make sure you're like meeting people, chatting, and because you never know when an interviewer, well, there's a lot of reasons for this. You never know when an interviewer could be coming around the corner, and you sitting there like scrolling along your phone isn't gonna make the best impression. but also because these are people who love Disney just as much as you do. You don't get to meet people like that in your everyday life, so just have a chat, like find out about each other. How many times you've been to Disney? Have you been at all? Like favourite rides, restaurants, you know. Just enjoy the fact that you're with other people that get Disney. And also, you never know, you could both be accepted onto the program and then boom, you know someone before you even get there. I mean, that's a real bonus. And I think people were mostly focusing on that at the second interview, but always worth getting to know people at every stage. The clothes. Okay, people were focusing on this so much during my interviews, but I genuinely don't think you need to worry that much. I mean, guys, just go for the suit, easy. I mean, more is more and that sort of thing. But for the girls, if you're really bothered, you can research the Disney look guidelines, which are basically no shoulders uncovered and no knees uncovered. So just go for that. I mean, I personally wouldn't go for heels. I think flats are a better option because then you get into the whole debate of like how high is too high and all that sort of stuff. Minimal makeup, probably not red lipstick, I mean, and then hair up or down, it doesn't matter too much, but literally just keep your shoulders covered, keep your knees covered. I'd wear black tights if I were you. And that is literally it. Like, don't fuss about colours or anything like that. I mean, if you can't keep your knees completely covered, just the longer the skirt the better. But again, I really don't think that they take too much notice of this. As long as you look professional, you just tick the box. Like, they're really not going to be judging what you're wearing too much, so don't fret. So the actual questions that they're likely to ask, you can research this so much online and almost get the exact questions that they're likely to ask. Some of the questions that I was asked were, why do you want to work for the Disney company? Why do you value cultural interaction, which is what I was talking about earlier to put on your application form, so you should know that already. What would you do if you had an unhappy guest? And sometimes they give you sort of role plays to do with that. That's something you just sort of have to think of on your feet. It's not too bad. Who is your favourite Disney character and why? Or who are you most like and why? So that's worth thinking of beforehand. In my interview we had some really weird answers. Someone said that they were most like Pumbaa because they like to eat a lot. I mean, think of something a bit deeper, guys. Come on, you can do it. There's so many good deep characters in Disney. You can think of something. And like things like tell us about your hometown and things like that. So you can, if you want to, totally find all the questions they're going to ask. And I do think that is a good idea to make sure that you're going to be less surprised by anything that they ask, but I think it's best to not overthink it too much. They will be able to tell if you are just reeling off something that you prepared earlier, like you're not even thinking about it. You need to make sure that your face is engaged with what your mouth is saying, which is now said that, I'm like really thinking about the fact that I'm doing that right now. So make sure it's got to be real, it's got to be you. It can't be something that a robot is like droning off. I mean, it's really good to, I think what I did was wrote down all the questions in a notebook and then like bullet pointed some of my answers, but then I didn't like memorize that or anything. I just used that as sort of general prep for my brain. And I do have to say, while I was at the gym for like the few months before my interview, I would just be like running along on the cross trainer or whatever and just like imagining being in my interview, like what will I say if they say this? But that's just me, and I couldn't stop my brain from doing that. It just did it. Yeah, and remember to listen actively. I think I sort of touched on this before, but when other people are talking, look as if you care. And again, don't robot look as if you care, actually look as if you care. Smile in all the right places, laugh in all the right places, but not too much. You know, all the general things that show you're a regular human and not a robot or a weirdo. I mean, you literally just have to be yourself, which is my final tip. Just be yourself. Like, I know everyone's going to be so nervous, but if you just be who you are, they will be able to see that coming through. And if you have a passion for Disney, and if you don't have a passion for Disney, why are you applying in the first place? It will shine through, I promise you. Just try to control the nerves, because that was my downfall the first time. You need to just take a deep breath and know that you know this. You have got this and it's going to be fine. Going on to the final interview, most of those tips you can use again. And the only other thing that I would say is that now this is an interview on your own and not with other people, which I found a hell of a lot easier because I knew all the answers and I didn't have to worry about other people taking the answers or like getting my words out, so it was all fine. In the final interview, they're more looking at putting you into a role than finding out if you're okay for the company. So they'll be asking you a lot more about your experience and sort of like putting in their head, like, you know, how do you like to work? And I said things like, I really enjoy a fast-paced work, you know, I always like to be doing something, have something to keep my mind active and things like that. So they put me in quick service food and beverage, which totally makes sense because that is the one role where you do not stop. There is always something going on. So you might find that your answers at the second interview inform your role choice more than you could ever have thought. So that's something to keep in mind. At that second interview, you will also have to put down your role choices in order. At ours, they also sort of said, you know, so many people want to be character attendants and we've literally got 2 jobs, but not many people want to do quick service food and beverage or custodial and we've got 50 jobs. So you kind of have to think like, how much do I want to do attractions, for example, and how much do I want to go? And for me, the answer was I want to go so bad. I will do anything. So I ranked mine in sort of half of what I wanted to do and half of what the company needed to make sure that I had, you know, what they were looking for and that my options matched up. If you are applying this year, best of luck. I really, really hope it goes well for you. I know how horrible it is to be endlessly waiting for an answer. Like, their processes take months and months to get through. It's just the most stressful thing to apply for. But if it doesn't work out, then there are other things out there for you to do with your summer. It may not be Disney. I mean, you could do Universal. I mean, you could even still go to Orlando. You can do other things in America, au pairing, Camp America like I did. There are other things there. And then just think, if you apply the next year, you can apply everything that you've learned back in there, and maybe it's just meant to be, you know. I just think that if you are yourself, they will be able to see that and you'll be fine. Just keep control of the nerves, dress like a normal person, act like a normal person, don't run over your words too much like I tend to do, and you've got this. I hope you enjoyed my second working at Disney tips video. I hope it was very useful if you are considering applying in the next few years. If you are interested in watching my tips for making the most of your program, then I will leave the link somewhere around here for you to go and look at. If you have any other requests for working at Disney videos that you would like, then let me know in the comments and I will try to make that for you ASAP. Thank you to everyone who requested this video back in the last working at Disney video. I hope that it's answered some of your questions and concerns. Yeah, don't forget to give this video a like and hit subscribe for more Disney content, including vlogs. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a magical day.